Hi guys, and welcome to yet another GT Sports beta video running on a standard PlayStation 4. So for this video I thought I'd change things up a little bit by using the third person perspective camera. We do get some requests for this camera every now and again, so I thought I'd go into this for a change. And I'm also using the controller for the very first time, I add, and automatic gears as well, because you could argue that GT Sport is aimed very much at the serious racer, the sort of esports racer, the high-end racer, but in reality anything with the Gran Turismo tag is going to appeal to the mass market. And of course, what do the mass market use? Well, they use controllers mostly, so I thought it was important to get on here with the controller and just give some initial impressions. So as you would imagine with Gran Turismo, of course the game handles very well with a controller. Some guys are just as quick or even quicker than wheel users on the controller, so it all depends on what you're used to. If you're used to the controller, you'll get a lot out of this title whether you're using assists or not. So it certainly does handle very well, and for me GT6 was a good step up from GT5 in terms of physics and handling. And once again I believe that GT Sport is a similar step up again from GT6. So there's a lot more depth than say GT6, so it's good to see, and it translates well I find from using the controller as well. Perhaps less impressive was the automatic gears. For me, okay, it's not as bad as the Assetto Corsa's automatic gears, which were pretty horrible, let's be honest. But here I found that often, particularly in a tight track such as Brands Hatch Indy, a lot of tight turns, you want to get the gear right. Like just there, it's giving me fourth gear when I wanted third. That's the problem. If it doesn't give you the gear you want, like here, maybe you could have taken that in second gear there, so instead of third. So if you're if you're not in the right gear, you're out of the power band, and you're going to be sluggish on the exit. So I did find it a little bit rough around the edges, but as it is a beta, of course there is time to improve, and hopefully, fingers crossed, in the final game that will be sorted. Although I'm not experiencing force feedback here using the controller, I will comment on the force feedback using a wheel. At best it's okay, at worst it's poor. I find probably somewhere in the middle is a good picture. It doesn't really translate what the car's doing very well, I found so far. And I'm using a T300 RS, by the way, apart from this video of course, but I just found that it didn't quite translate when the car was going to slip. But fortunately the game, it's easy to catch a slide whether you're using a controller or indeed a wheel, so it has that going for it. But I just didn't know exactly when the car was going to slide, because it doesn't give you that sort of tactile feedback from the force feedback, or indeed from the vibration on the controller as well. So one or two areas there that need to improve. In terms of sound, I mean, wow, this car sounds an awful lot better from behind the car than it does in the cockpit, which is true of a lot of games. I'm just going to be quiet just for a few moments just to give you an idea of what the cars sound like. So there you go, you just see a moment ago the car just losing it there on the exit. So the traction control is turned down to 1 at the moment, and when I cross the line to start the 5th lap I do actually drop that down to 0, and you'll see the car much more lively. And that's how I feel GT Sport is in general. The cars just feel more livelier than they do in GT6. More prone to slide. You feel more of the power is there, whether you're using assists or not. So you've got to be a little bit more careful with your inputs, I would say, particularly with the accelerator on the exit of a turn. So there is a little bit more going for it, a little bit more depth I find with the handling in general, which is really good to see. This is a reasonably powerful car, 295 bhp. It's a mid-mounted engine, rear-wheel drive configuration, turbo, Group 4 or GT4 car if you like. Only weighs just over 1,000 kilograms, so it is a tricky beast to handle. Performance ratings, it's only got a 2.7 for braking, so you will see me really slam the brakes on through the turns. And the cornering is only 2.8 out of 10 as well on the performance index, so it is pretty poor, I guess, overall. But unfortunately this is the only Group 4 car I have. I've unlocked a number of Group 3 cars, and I've unlocked a number of N300 cars, but in terms of Group 4 cars, this is actually the only car unlocked. So hopefully You know, I will unlock another one pretty soon and I'll be able to show that off, but I am getting a little bit sick of driving this same Group 4 car all the time, but that's just the way the cards have laid, you know, it's just pot luck basically. So where are we? We're on 6 laps, so we're coming around this tight bend here. You can hear the car pretty aggressive on the acceleration. Sounds decent in this viewpoint, I have to say. It's a shame that the cockpit view is so muted in comparison now, as I get the car all sort of wrong there. So I haven't used the brake set and the steering just to correct the car and get it back on the sort of straight and narrow as we come through this section. But we're coming up to finish these 6 laps, so we're going to leave it there for my initial impressions on GT Sport Beta in terms of the automatic gearbox, force feedback, and just in general how it feels with a controller. But we're going to have lots more GT Sport coverage to come. But that's it for now. Thanks for watching.